Pick up your copy today of our Football Game Plan Scouting 2020 Prospect Guide. Over 650 prospect scouting reports detailed from position value, strengths, areas of improvements, some comparisons, as well as the games that we watched to break these guys down. Order your copy today at footballgameplan.com/2020 draft guide. Welcome to Football Game Plan, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you our 2020 CFL mock draft. And before we get started, let's take a look at the mock draft rules. The Calgary Stampeders owned the #1 overall selection in this year's draft because of a trade with the Ottawa Red Blacks, and the consistently strong Stamps defensive line gets even stronger with the addition of Michael Hatch out of Brown University. Now, he's a versatile defensive lineman who can play any technique up front, and I like that he has that 6'4" frame and the length to be successful as a one-gap penetrator, while also showcasing good quickness off the ball and above-average hand usage to be considered a bit of an interior pass rusher as well. I think he's a plug-and-play guy who fits in perfectly with this defense. The Toronto Argonauts own 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, and I wanted to address the offensive line with Laval's Ase. I thought he had a really strong week of work at the NFLPA Bowl back in January. He's a big-time offensive line prospect at 6'7", 305 with good athleticism, and would be more of a sure thing to stay north of the border than perhaps any other offensive line prospect that have garnered a ton of NFL interest, which is why I went with him for Toronto. Now, on the field, he's a dominant run blocker that can play either tackle spot and has room to grow in pass pro, and I think that would be the focal point of him or for him during his rookie season development. Next are the BC Lions, and they take the chance on arguably the best offensive line prospect in the draft, and that's Carter O'Donnell out of Alberta. He was one of the standouts at the East-West Shrine Bowl back in January, getting better every day at practice while also standing out in the ball game as well. Some scouts see him as a tackle, some see him as a guard. What both sides tend to agree on is the fact that he's going to be a fantastic pro, whether he ends up on the interior of the offensive line or stays out at tackle. I'm a big fan of Dylan Giffen's game out of Western University. He reminds me a lot of Samuel Thomason, who played at Laval and spent some time in some NFL camps and is now with the Montreal Alouettes. Giffen is a big guy, standing a legit 6'8", 335, and I thought he was good at the U Sports East-West Bowl back in May and was able to more than hold his own down at the College Gridiron Showcase in Fort Worth, Texas this past January. Now, while his footwork is still a work in progress, he's got great ball get-off and excellent core strength, so getting acclimated to a pro strength and conditioning program would help expedite his growth process as a pro. And the Edmonton Eskimos have a need up front, and Giffen could become a foundational piece along the offensive line. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have 2 first-round picks and could really transform their defense with how they attack this draft. With the first pick, I went with defensive lineman Mason Bennett out of North Dakota. The Fighting Hawks standout finished his career with 31.5 TFLs and 20 sacks. He would give them an immediate jolt off the edge. Last year, they were 3rd in the CFL with 54 sacks as a team, and adding a player like Bennett would help them have that number as a floor as opposed to a ceiling. He's a terrific player. The Ottawa Red Blacks land one of my favorite prospects in the draft in Adam Auclair out of Laval. Some view him as a linebacker, others as a defensive back. I don't care how you view him. You want him as a player on your defense because he has tremendous talent. He's got very good instincts and ball skills, as well as the knack for making a key play when you need it the most. I like him as a defensive back, to be honest. Watching him hold his own in one-on-one coverage at the College Gridiron Showcase helped me see his potential out in space, as he was very fluid in that regard and wasn't a liability. The Saskatchewan Roughriders get help at the second level of their defense with Carleton Ravens linebacker Jack Kassar. The 6'3", 230-pound backer does a great job out in space in the passing game, but also takes really good angles to the ball carrier. I like how he's able to get to his top speed pretty quickly and that shows itself, when he's in pursuit of the quarterback or the ball carrier. I think he has the ability to be a significant threat as a blitzer at the pro level. The Ticats are back on the clock, so why not double down on the top pass rushers in Southeastern Louisiana's Isaac Adeyemi Berglund? He's got a really good power rush, bull rush coming off the edge. He's able to walk an offensive lineman back into the lap of a quarterback. This past season, he finished with 16 TFLs and 7.5 sacks. He's a very active defender. IAB also racked up 3 quarterback hurries and 3 forced fumbles. I think a combination of he and Mason Bennett will be a vicious one for the Ticats. Wrapping up the first round with the Toronto Argonauts again, I went back to the offensive side of the ball with wide receiver Ryson John out of Simon Fraser. The Argos need explosive playmakers, and John will give them that out on the perimeter. He would almost automatically be a significant red zone threat as a rookie, and I also believe people are sleeping on his ability to be a strong catch and run guy at the CFL level. The Montreal Alouettes don't have a first round pick, so in round 2, I went with the local product in Marc-Antoine Decoy out of the University of Montreal. Now, he ran a blistering 40 time at the CFL Combine and was a tremendous playmaker for the Carabins. I thought he was able to showcase some of that range down at the East-West Shrine Bowl this past January and should give the Alouettes some speed and explosiveness on the back end, in addition to bolstering their special teams unit as a rookie. And finally, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who also don't have a first-round pick, add a very talented offensive lineman from the University of Buffalo in Tomas jacquardila. He was a 4-year starter along the offensive line for the Bulls and a big part of the reason why they were one of the best rushing teams in the nation. He's also very solid in pass pro and could be in a position to see time early with the Blue Bombers.